Я обещала тусоваться с вами целый час. Я выполняю свои обещания, не то что некоторые.
I've promised to be with you the whole hour. I'm keeping my promise.
Что-то как-то у нас мало событий происходит.
But we don't have a lot of attacking events.
Продолжаем экскурс в необычные темы, интересные.
Let's continue talking about interesting and unusual topics. And from spaceships flying in the outer space, we're flying to the theater.
О том, как сложные технические
And we're going to speak about how complicated, technical, not interesting topics can be presented to people in such a way
восхитились,
so that they can be astonished. They would become happy
действовать. Короче говоря, мы
and start acting. So we will speak
темы приносить
how technical topics can be brought to TED speech. And I have two guests here. I'm really happy to see you, Oksana Trutskova. Hello.
чтобы вы понимали, с кем мы разговариваем.
In order for you to understand who you're speaking to, Oksana is TEDx Pokrovka Street.
И Алексей
Yes, I remember. And Alexei Novikov,
за роль
who's going to speak,
сумел пропихнуть свою тему.
was able to promote his topic, very complicated topic, to this TED speech. Twice. Twice. Yeah, twice. He was able to do it twice, and it's not a limit.
С вами как раз обсудить.
So I wanted to discuss this with you, the situation. Oksana, I hope you're going to tell us, do we need topics like that? And do people expect news from the world of cyber business and cyber technologies? Yes, of course. Organizers wait for something like that. And if you will look at organizer as the architect of the event,
событие должно содержать в себе
and take in consideration the fact that this event should contain information about all the spheres. So technologies are something new, constantly developing, has a quotation or a quota for this technical presentation.
обычно
But organizers usually go to people that everybody hear about. Of course, I would like to call Edward Snowden, if I would have a choice, or maybe who else is very popular? David Young, Evgeny Chereshnev. Those that everybody know, everybody heard. Ivan Sachkov until recently, Ilya.
приходится
But everybody else, they speak about themselves. They speak about themselves through their own brand, and then they come to TEDx, or maybe they have to write to the organizers. And of course, we want to know, people want to know, because this is where the future is. They'll probably understand you that these topics, they have to be carried by well-known people, or maybe people who are well-known and who are super professionals in their topic. They can also speak at the TEDx and be interesting speakers there and become interesting for the organizers. Well, for the organizers, it's not always understandable to all the technologies, but these topics have to be presented. But another topic is
внутри темы
how many of those ideas inside of the cybersecurity topic or technologies and everything else. I think that we can dig very deep, because we've been speaking about
роботы нас поработят, если мы
the robots, will they enslave us or not, if it's not going to be punished. And then we've been speaking about
к данным надо бережно относиться.
the data that should be treated properly. Everybody speaks about it.
Должен каждый раз искать
So the one who wants to speak, he needs to search for a new aspect of the same topic.
Леша, расскажи, как ты искал новое
Losha, can you tell us how you've been looking for the new aspect
на TEDx.
when you've been getting ready for the TEDx?
Алексей участвовал.
Alexei
Да. И
participated on the TEDx 2 times, and you had topics about what?
Не помню, это было так давно.
это было что-то
It was a long time ago. It was something very popular.
про личную конфиденциальность,
Про
да?
личную
Да.
It was about personal confidentiality and how can you treat your own pictures,
личную конфиденциальность и
where you can lose your personal confidentiality, and how can this be negative to us, which threats we can see.
на самом деле, было такое больше обзорное, в котором я
The first presentation was an overview presentation, and then I tried to say that cybersecurity is very important,
последствия
and we can't even imagine which consequences this cybersecurity from cameras, from your phones, from computers, from the internet devices.
Привести нас на самом
It can lead us to very real negative consequences in the physical world when people have been losing their apartments. They were not able to enter their smart houses because they were tuned improperly.
Пожалуйста, а можно, как ты думаешь, можно ли
What do you think?
задание?
And it's a task. It's a task for you.
Задание из
Your favorite combination of words from your work life.
инцидента.
компьютерный инцидент.
Computer incidents. Okay, something else.
Два слова, одно
In this combination, there are two words. One begins with T, another with H.
хантинг там.
Вот. Thread-hunting,
Да,
да.
задача.
Threat hunting. So, the task.
Приемная комиссия.
Oksana is with us, and we are the examination team. You have a task. You should invent how you're going to tell us about threat hunting in such a way so that it would become interesting, that would be exhilarated, and we would think that this topic is worthy of TED speech. Threat hunting.
Оксане, она вообще не знает, что это.
It's very difficult for Oksana. She doesn't know what it is. Well, I know these two words.
Направление в сфере информационной безопасности.
Informational security, this is a separate area of activities, very important activity, because the most important activity in threat hunting is to make a hypothesis
Инфраструктура для конкретной
for specific infrastructure, specific company, for maybe industry,
в сфере информационной безопасности.
in the area of informational security, to make a hypothesis, and this hypothesis usually related to the question of discovery of fraudsters inside of the infrastructure, and then you start to check this hypothesis, and you have to try retrospectively look at whether there was a penetration of a criminal in the infrastructure, if it was or was not. Is it a truthful hypothesis? Maybe it has to be specified or improved. And thanks to these,
Тех хакеров
you should find in infrastructure those hackers that you were not able to discover previously. And when this hypothesis works once,
строится так, чтобы это кибо...
then the process is built in such a way so that this hypothesis should work continuously. And ideally, it should become a new detector, new knowledge of information security product,
грубо говоря, искала хакеров без человека.
and it would search for hackers without
Давай
humans.
этот термин переупакуй.
Okay, can you repackage this term? Can you tell us a story about it?
Мы можем дать ему 15 секунд подумать.
Да,
We can give him 15 seconds to think about it. Well, first of all, you can use some metaphorical statement, a bright example for dummies.
самое главное-то не это.
Which idea comes to your mind? Well, it's not the most important thing, but this explanation of something, it's a good thing in simple words about complicated things. But what is also important is to show the usefulness for the one who is listening. Well, the usefulness for the one who is listening.
Эту историю
Let's flip this story to another side, because honestly speaking, at a given moment of time, the information security market has a big thirst for qualified employees,
в тех людях, у которых горит глаз,
and a thirst for those people who are burning for their work and they love to work. And many people, when you speak about computer security, information security, and when you speak about this technology, many people think that this is boring, not interesting, mathematics, physics,
технарские навыки и так далее.
some complicated technical skills. But honestly speaking, it's not like that. Honestly speaking, it involves colossal field for creativity, and threat hunting is one of those elements related with creativity. So speaking in analogies, make a hypothesis that I want to fly from one mountain to another mountain. Which wings I need for that?
Конечно, выбрать
For the first time, you can select unsuccessful form of the wings and you die. But usually you try until you discover something new, which is going to become useful, become important. And this is a colossal element of creativity. It's a very important charge for your brain. And
люди, которые могут проводить параллель
very often even people who can find parallels between different spheres of life, they can, because what about digital technologies? Well, digital technologies is the mirror of our real life. That's what digital technology is. And honestly speaking, we have to transfer those things in which we have skills in our daily life into the digital life. Same for the threat hunting. We need to discover threats.
это говорят.
For example, when somebody approaches us in the street, can I look at your wallet? How much money do you have in your wallet? Well, how much money?
Да,
Can you give me your phone number to make a call? Well, that's another one.
там оценивают. Иногда
And everybody understands it. Everybody makes an assessment.
человек дать человеку
But in some cases, you can give a mobile phone to a person. Maybe really something bad happened with the person, and this person needs to make a call.
как-то в физическом мире
So we do know how to make assessments, and during the evolution, we know how to make assessments. Is it truth or not truth? But when in the messenger somebody writes to you, can you give me your phone number of your email address? Please follow the link, give the password, and login. Doesn't include those factors. So how can we transfer these factors from real world into digital world? And how by using these factors we can discover criminals? Well, the flight of the bumblebee, the flight of the creativity. Interesting topic. In your conversation, Alexei, I've heard 5 different directions which can be divided into 5 different speeches. The most beautiful things already have been verbalized. You should have one idea and one topic and some specific steps which users should make here and now, because they are not going to remember 2 ideas, 3 ideas. But it's an interesting topic, especially if you have invented. Well, informational security. Well, it is so interesting because it might involve this, and that. We have a lot of fun here.
Скажи, пожалуйста, а
Оксана, can you tell me, please, is it difficult?
кого принять в программу? Вот по каким
Because when you evaluate who's going to be included into the program, which criteria do you use
известные и
for the future speakers? Should they be known people, or the topic should be interesting? Well, well-known people, it's if there's a topic you know nothing about it, through the authority, you will definitely be able to convey this message to everybody else.
три критерия. Первый
But usually I have 3 criteria. First, the availability of the idea, because even if it's a cool, well-known speaker, but he has no idea that he wants to share with other people,
выступления нет, оно не состоится.
then we don't have this presentation. But what is idea? Can you give me an example of an idea? Well, I do have the ideas while sitting here.
Выступление условно
Idea which can be packaged into a Twitter statement, which is short but not basic. For example, if you take a speech of one of my favorite and one of the well-known TED speeches, Ken Robinson, about the school, his idea that the modern school kills creativity and we have to change it. Very good idea. But then through stories, through personal examples, he tells us it in such a way so that we look at his presentations and we cry and we say that, yes, the school has to be changed, and I will start today with my kids. I will treat them differently. I'll follow their individuality.
желанию детей.
So it should lead to a certain action, not necessarily, but at least
в пересказе.
it should be verbalized. If you can verbalize something, it means that you have understood it and remembered it. The second thing is the expertness. It's not necessarily that this person should be a mega superstar like Elon Musk. Yes, of course, it would be wonderful, but it's not necessary. And it's sufficient if you work in a sphere
Идеи, понятно, что
which is connected with your idea. And if Alexei, for example, is going to write to the organizers of anybody, and he said, I will speak about the flight to the Mars, what the Mars has to do with it? Are you flying to the Mars? Are you researching the topic of the Mars?
Участник у нас был смарт.
Well, the previous speaker was from Mars.
должна быть связана с
So the expertness should be related to the topic. This could be a number of publications. This could be some, I don't know, patents which you have had in your sphere, maybe inventions you've had in it. And the earlier a person starts working in his brand, the better it is for other people in other spheres. And number 3,
хотя бы начальник.
some presentation skills, at least basic. It's not a commercial conference, so we want to keep a balance between efforts that you spend for preparing the speaker and the result. Is it difficult to prepare a speaker?
Если спикер хочет,
Yes and no. If the speaker wants to get ready, nothing difficult in there. But if he doesn't want, he will never come to you.
сложные истории, когда
There are complicated stories when we have very strong public relations manager and he says, well, we're going to prepare with somebody else, good person, good topic, but not something is not working. So if the person has no desire to invest into the training, nothing's going to work.
Да.
Do you agree? Yes, I do. Yes, I agree.
Такой ответ, да. Нет.
Ну, какой вопрос, такой и ответ.
Well, the question you ask, the answer you get.
Я поменяла
Тяжело,
вопрос.
наверное, на самом деле
It is
перестать
difficult to stop speaking technological language and try to explain in simple words,
Словами,
in
аналогии.
understandable words, in analogies, especially to those people who understand nothing in computer security and things that you do or why it might be important to them. So a selection of these words, proper metaphorical comparisons, this is the most complicated part.
Я когда думала о
When I was
с
thinking
вами побеседовали,
that we have to
я
talk
погуглила,
to each
какие
other,
бывают
I've Googled what
статьи,
presentations we might have, especially those related with cybersecurity on TED. And I've discovered three big areas. One of them is confidentiality and personal data. The second area, everything which is related with our favorite gadgets,
и третье
all
направление
this stuff.
про
And direction number three
Вот
about
скажите мне, пожалуйста,
how cool are those hackers?
как
So
вы
both of
думаете,
you, tell me please, what do you think? Why these three topics?
Понятно конечному пользователю, который слушает. Зачем я это слушаю?
Well, speaking about the end users, they ask themselves a question: why am I listening this?
Если сложное, то,
Because maybe something complicated and it's very difficult to build connection with the end user, and maybe a state commercial secret nobody have prohibited in any country. Technologies are developing very fast. They're entering the area of strategic interests of those countries where they're invented. So there should be a proper balance between all those things.
тебе не кажется, что просто не знают?
Don't you think that people don't know anything?
Рассказать,
And that you have to tell and speak about new stories. Maybe I need to explain. But there's a interesting for a person what he understands and something that is closer to him. So if you will speak about some peculiarities
Высоконагруженных систем.
of highly loaded systems, discovering on a flight, something. Even you not going to be interested in such a speech. So if you build connection between usefulness, then of course it's going to be interesting.
Тематики, которые, мне
But
кажется,
these are topics which are on the surface.
сняли с
That's why when the
много желающих.
cream was removed from the surface, there will be people desiring going deeper into these topics and tell us something new, something more accessible, something more difficult in a more accessible language. Well, I have a philosophical question to both of you. Let's try to philosophize. Why?
делаете TED. Вы
Why you do what you do? Do you do TED? And why she doesn't? Why do you participate in this TED? Who's going to be the first one?
давай.
хотя мне
I'm going to be the first one.
ну, TED,
Well, TED,
я искренне в этом убеждена, что такими
I'm really confident that events like this TEDx
вокруг и меняют
are changing our society around.
лучше. Они помогают идее
They make people better. They help people to get expressed, for ideas to be expressed.
спикерами, которые у нас за
See,
лет выступали.
I'm looking at speakers who've been speaking in front of us, and I see
Многие потом уже...
how this speech helped them, and many of them
Это очень важно. Я потом написала книгу.
saying that, well, it was so important for me. I wrote a book. It helped me to express myself. It helped me to receive certain support. So it's a human growth.
Ну и всегда
Yeah,
приятно
somehow
быть,
it is. And it's always nice to be in the company of same thinkers, good and cool people.
ты строишь.
So it's a community that you build around yourself. It's always wonderful.
Похоже на то,
At the same
по
time,
работе, но
looking at what I do in my work,
прям отделяю, как это хобби.
I separate it as a hobby.
На самом деле, когда
see.
ты говоришь о том, ради чего ты это делаешь, создаешь сообщество,
But when you say, why do you do that? You create a community of people who are interested in working with each other.
очень на вас
So
похоже.
we in security, we work like you.
И интересных людей, которым интересно.
We find interesting people who are interested in talking to each other. It's an interesting concept. It really has touched me, and I will think about it for quite a while.
Ты предпринимал
Why did you apply those efforts to speak there? Well, it's a new experience, TEDx, getting out of the comfort zone. And second of all, cybersecurity, it's kind of a box in itself, but we are all boiling in this box together with each other. We're communicating the bird language and we're not leaving this box. But there's a good analogy
дорожного движения. Я постоянно
with the rules of the road.
появились машины,
Because as soon as cars started appearing here,
эволюционировали как вид, и
we have evolved
научился ходить, мы его
as a vision.
это зебра, это светофор.
And the person has learned a lot of words. This is zebra, this is the light, street light. Digital technology is penetrated into our lives so much that when a person receives smartphone in his hands, he should have dual factor authorization, etc., etc. And if we, being in this box, we're not going to tell the rest of the world about it, the world is not going to change. But if the world is not going to change, these bad hackers will become more and more successful in making their cyber crimes, and it's going to be much more difficult for us to win them and make this world more secure.
Да, лень это двигатель прогресса.
So the laziness moves the progress to work less, to work easier. So let's try to educate our users so that they wouldn't press all the links plus 25% to your discount. Thank you very much.
Со мной сегодня
My dear friends, today I was visited by Oksana Protskova. Oksana, thank you very much, the organizer of TEDx.
пожалуйста, ее
Please Google it. Google her in social networks.
на территории.
Partially prohibited on the territory of our country, but go from another state.
Если вам захочется,
Alexei Novikov, if you would like to see what's interesting he was going to tell you on the TEDx. And please don't forget that each one of you
интересных
is a lot of interesting topics,
нам. Поэтому дерзайте, не
and you can tell us about them. Don't be afraid.
горизонты.
Disclose new horizons and enter new doors, including TED. I'm going to be happy to see cybersecurity, more of cybersecurity. And right now I would like to give studio to Vladimir Zapolyansky,
Останется в одиночестве.
but he's going to stay here alone in a couple of minutes, but alone. And he's going to be joined to online.
К нему присоединиться
He's
онлайн.
going to be joined by Alexei Yudin, Kiwi, and they're going to discuss cybersecurity problems, fintech in new realities. I think it's also a topic for TED.